This video is going to be a film study look at Kyle Hamilton and how he played in the Ravens' Sunday Night Football win over the Jags. He played a lot of high safety. Some of his most memorable plays in that game was as a two high safety look and making breaks on the ball, particularly the two passes defense he has in the fourth quarter, that, quote, goal line stand that the Ravens make with about 3 minutes, 3:30 left. It's not really a goal line stand. The Jags weren't, inside the 5 necessarily, but multiple plays by Hamilton, Humphrey, and Stevens in that sequence to keep the Jags out of the end zone and retain the final score of 23-7. It's borderline unfair what the Ravens were able to do with Kyle Hamilton on Sunday night, a week after he got hurt and wasn't able to finish the game in the home win against the Rams. I don't know about you, but I was one of the people who was questioning, should he play at all? He clearly looked great. He retained that burst, that length. Collinsworth and maybe the other announcer, I can't remember who it was on the broadcast, was talking about his range, rightfully so. Hamilton, as a back safety, third level of the defense, is able to cover a lot of ground, for lack of a better phrase. Because when he does break on the ball, he reads the quarterback well. He's got great eyes in terms of seeing the quarterback and seeing the routes develop. I think the Ravens DBs are supremely prepared as well for the route combinations that we see. Very rarely do we give up 65-yard touchdowns like we did to Agnew on the pass from Trevor Lawrence. Design play. Middle of the third quarter. We'll get the video started here. I don't know about you, but whenever the Ravens can re-sign Kyle Hamilton, I think they should. I know that there is a time frame at which you're unable to do so. The moment we can, we should, because the price is, the more games he's on the field, the more times he's playing 99% of the defensive snaps or whatever it is that he plays now, the price tag is just going to go up. If we keep getting production like some of these plays that I'm showing you here, pick six on the first snap of the game by the Browns at home in our last loss, blitz off the edge for a sack, forced fumble in week 3 against the Colts, the versatility of what he's able to do well is remarkable. But there's also not just width of his impact, how many things he's able to do, but there's also the depth of each one. He's very good at everything he can do. And that's the thing that becomes shocking at some point. When Marcus Williams goes out at halftime, Kyle Hamilton did play some nickel defender, but it makes sense we would be able to move him to two high safety. We still do have guys like Daryl Worley who played well earlier in the year, but wherever we move Kyle Hamilton, he's not just good at, he's really good at doing those things. In this case, it's a third down against the Bengals. Of course, Burrow is out of the game at this point. It's a 3rd and 8. He's basically playing Tampa 2, Mike linebacker on this play. He's not a Mike linebacker. He's not an inside linebacker. Yes, in certain worlds, would they call defensive pass interference there for him getting there just before the football does? Sure. It's the versatility and the ability to make plays no matter where they put him that is shocking. What a great draft pick. What a great moment for the Ravens to be able to get him. I remember multiple people talking about how impressive he was, and I agreed with them when we drafted him. I didn't know he was going to be this good this soon. This is going to be a 3rd and 4, and we're playing another Tampa 2 here. It may not look the same as that Bengals play that I just showed you, but you can see the delineation of it. Cover 2 safety, Hamilton middle of the field, 4 underneath droppers. You get a little bit more depth by Brandon Stevens up there than you have to the corresponding player at the bottom side of the screen, Marlon Humphrey. It's completed underneath. I feel like we've given up maybe not more, a lot of third down completions underneath against our zones as opposed to inside of the zones. In this case, it's completed underneath. Little shovel from Lawrence to Etienne. And oh, by the way, in case you were wondering who that was, dragging Trevor Lawrence to the ground at the end of the play. Surprise, surprise, it was Justin Madubuike. Same possession, first possession of the game. Hamilton at nickel defender here. You forget his size until you see him standing next to like tight ends and stuff. He did cover Evan Ingram later in the game, and you see how long he is and how well he's able to defend those guys. It's a screen to Parker Washington. Later on in the game, Trevor Lawrence must have recognized something because of the same exact formation. Hamilton out here, and Hamilton blitzes off the edge. They throw the same screen to Parker Washington, basically a 2-on-1, and Marlon Humphrey is able to set it inside and tackle after only like a 4 or 5 yard gain. Tackle right at the line of scrimmage for Hamilton. This one, however, is a tackle for loss. Jumbo 12, really Jumbo 13, my apologies. 2 tight ends down here. One of them is a 6th offensive lineman who's eligible. And then Ingram, the third tight end. Hamilton's reading him. As soon as he sees the tight end go for F counter, Hamilton's gone. He's triggered. Wherever they put him, he's prepared for the reads. When I say it's borderline unfair, I'm being very intentional and focused with that point. Even at the NFL level, it's not normal for you to be able to put someone in 3 or 4 or 5 different places and all of their reads not just be the correct read, but on time. In this case, ahead of schedule. You can see unblocked, from behind, tackle for loss against Tank Bigsby. Only carry of the game, unfortunate for him. Happened to be in a predictable situation or something that Kyle Hamilton recognized from film, from preparation for a tackle for loss. Third possession now, and we've got Etienne, same formation, except the number 2 receiver up here is not a tight end, it's Agnew. And Ingram is no longer in the slot as that slot third tight end. He's now over to the other side. So it's still 12 personnel. I called it Jumbo 12 before. It was Jumbo 13. This is 12 personnel twin wing. Hamilton is on as the nickel. And he's able to get involved in the tackle. When I say he's the nickel, you've got corner safety here, Humphrey and Stone. Corner safety here, we're still in the first half, so it's Marcus Williams and Brandon Stevens. And then Hamilton up to the top side. Agnew's going to try to dig him out of there. Hamilton can just push him down and condense that gap as much as possible. It's not his job to defend interior C-gap runs. He gets involved no matter where they put him. Same possession, third possession, still early second quarter now. This is a great job by Arthur Maulet and Marlon Humphrey. I talked about this in a video that I put out Monday night before the Monday Night Football game. Maulet is down here. He's going to take Ridley on this kind of deep over route, and then Humphrey is up top. He's going to take Zay Jones on this like out route that's at the sticks or just beyond it. Hamilton has got really nobody to guard down here. They use him everywhere. Again, this is Marcus Williams still in the game. So we can afford to use Kyle Hamilton as the nickel safety rolled up to the line of scrimmage. This is the late second quarter drive, the one where the Jaguars coaching staff really failed them, if you ask me. So 1st and 10, it's going to be to the right side, to Zay Jones. When we're able to put him at the nickel, these plays, these concepts, we just destroy. It is a 4-yard gain to Zay Jones, don't get me wrong, but this is 30, 35 seconds left in the quarter. The clock does stop. Hamilton is a guy who can make plays. This is all the way from the bottom of the numbers, damn near to the hashes on the sideline, that he's got the... Zay Jones didn't have a choice to run out of bounds. He's trying to. Kyle Hamilton was there to do so already, regardless of time, position, or game situation. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. And then finally, the last play of the second quarter. Have to give Marcus Williams credit for not just the play. Hamilton's up here guarding Evan Ingram. It's mirrored concepts by the Jags. Really. Number 1, receivers are getting outside releases, and then the slots are trying to run underneath of it. Same thing up top here with Ridley and Humphrey. And then the slot, or in this case, Evan Ingram's trying to run underneath of it. This is not a pick, but it's conceptually the same thing. They're trying to get the defenders playing man on number 2 to have to go over the top. Trevor Lawrence knows he's short on time. But this is a brilliant play, not just by Marcus Williams, to get him to the ground. I thought he hurt his arm again. Is it weird to say I'm glad that it was a groin, even though groin injuries can last forever? But he gets him down in bounds, and once he's hurt, gets up such that the refs don't stop the clock and give the Jags another play that their coaches really didn't deserve at that point. It's a video on Kyle Hamilton, but I thought I had to mention some of the plays by Maulet and Marcus Williams and others who played at a high level that helped us hold them to 1 touchdown. Moving to the third quarter now. So Marcus Williams is out. We still have Kyle Hamilton rolled up. You're like, why? He's the nickel. Well, we're not in nickel. We are Jumbo 12 here. So we've got base defensive personnel. This is run-stopping personnel. Pierce, Urban, Tavius Washington, Malik Harrison. You may see that group on the field more against the 49ers than any of us is prepared to see. So naturally the Jags throw a screen to the Twins and Kyle Hamilton destroys it. It does go down as a 4-yard gain. I would offer to you that if a team is substituting in an eligible offensive lineman and getting into a specific look, and all they get out of it is a 4-yard play on a screen to the field, I would say that's a win for the Ravens. for multiple reasons. Another one is you've given us a receiver and asked him to block our strong safety, which is where Kyle Hamilton is playing right here. And he has to deal with the physicality, basically getting destroyed, punked in the middle of the play. Hamilton's able to finish it. 4-yard gain sets up a 2nd and 6. Again, this is not Hamilton related. He's on the other side of the field. You got this cool release by the Jags. Have to give them credit. Almost stack the receivers. Ridley is going to run one of these, and then Agnew releases outside. Not even sure if you can see that bottom route there drawn there. Forgive me. Clearly, this is on Millette, or there's no communication by these guys in terms of what they should be doing. My apologies. I thought I had paused. Ends up being a 65-yard touchdown. To me, this looks like they're matching up. Man, but look, the stack releases makes things difficult. Brandon Stephens is clearly playing man on one, but when 1 and 2 are stacked together so tightly, it causes problems for your releases. When you hear Chris Sims and other guys say you won't be able to play man against some of the high-level teams in the NFL, this is why. I'm not saying that Millette is beat here because he can't play man. He basically stops playing man. So we're not on the same page as far as what the coverage could be. Another thing to mention is look at all the guys up here with no work at all. None, because it's a 2-receiver route. Designed play by the Jags. Credit to them. Geno Stone is not in position to help defend the deep route at all. I got no idea what the coverage is supposed to be against stacked twins, but I know it's never going to work out when one guy plays man on one and the other guy zones off in the deep curl flat area. Move forward to the 4th quarter. We'll get to more stuff on Hamilton. I don't know if I give you the end zone angle on this one. 1st and 10 from the 25. Almost a little under 4 minutes left, and you're getting 2 routes, one by Cook, and then I think it's Ridley in between the top of the numbers and the hash. This is the one where Hamilton is able to turn. And I didn't think he touched this, but it looks like maybe his right hand does. I'll give you the end zone angle of it. He loses connection to the football when he turns, baseball turn. I would call it a baseball turn, even though other people have different names for it. Not able to get his hands on it. Nonetheless, Ridley is unable to catch it. I think that the ball might skim his right arm, but I could be wrong here. We'll get a good view of it from the end zone angle. So what they're trying to do is get him to go with 3. Roquan is passing 3 off to the backside safety. Hamilton's hand or arm is close to it. He doesn't get a statistical designation, doesn't get a pass defense. He doesn't need one. He's got enough stats for the year. The front office and the fans have already seen we can do all over the place. We're content with the fact that you just stopped the play, but I'd love to see him get a pass defense if his hand actually did touch it. His hand definitely touches this one. 2nd and 10. This is 2 plays after that one I just showed you. Conceptually the same thing, if you ask me. Now, credit to Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's throwing this football. Hamilton it's the same concept, really. So Hamilton's playing this a little bit tighter, a little bit more down to the field. So Lawrence throws it over the top now, and you can see the outstretched arms by Hamilton. You saw the broadcast. If you're watching this video this long, you watched the replays, and you saw the broadcast crew's referee, or heard him, unfortunately, go on and on about how it should have been a rule to catch. Look, Calvin Ridley does catch the football. He does. We're talking about Kyle Hamilton in this video. Hamilton does deflect it. That's why he gets a pass defense from a statistical designation. Does Calvin Ridley catch it in the end zone? Well, I'm not sure. I do know that Kyle Hamilton was there to challenge it. All it's about at any level of football defensively is giving the offense, receivers, running backs, tight ends, quarterbacks, less time and less space to make plays. The more time and the more space you give them, the easier it is for the offense to make plays. Kyle Hamilton, to me, is a guy who consistently is giving the offense less time and less space to be able to execute because of his versatility, his intelligence, his awareness, his reactions, and his range. This is the very next play. It's a very sudden break by Marlon, a pass breakup against Calvin Ridley, 3rd and 10. So again, we're talking very short time. Immediately after, the same concept has basically been used twice against Kyle Hamilton. I'm not saying they were targeting Kyle Hamilton, but Trevor Lawrence and the Jags went to the same concept 2 times over the matter of 3 plays. Neither one of them was ruled a touchdown, regardless of whether Calvin Ridley caught the ball. He does catch this one on the outcut, but Marlon gets in here. This is a pass breakup, and it's designated to him as a PD. But I was amazed at the break. Look, he looked a lot more agile, a lot more decisive, and less worried about getting beat. I thought I saw some times against the Rams where he was worried about being able to keep up with people deep. We've got big games coming up against the 49ers, the Dolphins, and then the Steelers at home. If we get this version of Marlon Humphrey, we are good to go defensively, whether or not Marcus Williams is back healthy. I thought this was a brilliant play in a big moment. I guess you'd call this a modern goal line stand, where the offense ends up throwing 4 times, even though the first play I showed you was a 1st and 10 from the 25, and then I skipped the next 2 plays. This one will be Brandon Stephens up at the top. Hamilton's down here. We're kind of done analyzing his film. If you watch this long, first of all, I appreciate you checking the video out. I am blown away at how physical and how much our DBs were stressed by the Jags receivers and tight ends. Are the Jags a playoff team? How good are they? You know, Zay Jones was playing injured. I understand all of those questions are valid. Nonetheless, all of these guys back here, I didn't see Geno Stone make any, quote, plays, passes defense, certainly not interceptions, but all of these guys back here had moments where they covered and competed really well. Arthur Millette, I think, is probably responsible for the touchdown pass to Agnew that was designed middle of the third quarter. Man, these guys played brilliant. I think Kyle Hamilton is a big part of it. Imagine we didn't have him for this game. That would have been probably too much talent lost, too much versatility lost. And he's just a guy who shows up everywhere. I feel guilty. I don't know about other Ravens content creators. I feel guilty doing another Kyle Hamilton study here in Week 15. You could do one every week. You could do one every week on Justin Madubuike. Those guys are playing that well. Is he a Pro Bowler? Is he an All-Pro? I mean, for me, yeah, I think it's a yes to all of those things. He's one of our best players. He might be the biggest freak that we have on the team from a size, speed, strength, and playmaker perspective, and that's saying something because we've got Lamar Jackson on the other side. Let me know what you guys think of the film study on Kyle Hamilton and how I tried to incorporate some of the plays that other guys made, how well they covered over the Jags. This one was a fun one to watch and try to produce for you guys. I will try to get out one more video on the Ravens late Tuesday night, hopefully about their offensive line. But there's other content creators that do a great job of covering the offensive line, and I really don't like to step on their toes, primarily Cole Jackson and Ken at Film Study Ravens. Those guys do a great job of covering offensive line content. If you don't check them out on a weekly basis, I would highly recommend that you do so. Appreciate you guys' time.